So my name is Dr. Julia Pullin and I'm the founder of the Chiro Health Clinic. Now, I heard that you'd missed the workshop this week, but that's not a problem. So what we decided to do was actually send you a little video which summarised what we covered, what we learned, so basically you didn't feel like you'd missed out. What we're going to do now is start running through a little bit of the anatomy so that you can understand what's actually happening. So I'm about to go grab my spine. Okay, right then, so what we have is the pelvis down here at the bottom, which is made up of iliac crests over here, sacrum in the middle, coccyx down at the bottom, little wiggly bit at the bottom. We have 24 vertebrae running up through the spine, okay, and then each of them are separated by little joints, which hopefully you can see just there, okay. And those little joints, they only move a little bit, it's not much. But all the movements add up to give you global movement, so you can bend, twist, do all the things that you need to do. If I show you in the neck, then you can see they are very little dinky little joints there. And again, they move only a little bit, but they add up so that you can bend and twist, all right? These bubbles at the back are what you can feel through your skin. And if I turn you around, you can see more the weight-bearing part of your spine. So you've got the vertebral bodies, and then you've got the discs in between, okay? Purpose of your disc, three main purposes of your disc. So the disc is firstly a shock absorber. Secondly, it is a spacer, which allows for enough room for this little dinky nerve to come out of this hole here. And then also it allows for the flexibility as well, so that your body can bend and move, okay? So obviously the discs have very, very important role. They are phenomenally strong. And the best I can describe it, they are a little bit like a poached egg. So you've got the white on the outside and then you've got the yolk on the inside. So the yolk on the inside allows for its flexibility, but the white on the outside are fibres that are overlapped, and that's where it gets its strength from, and they're like onion skin, so there's multiple layers. So your strength comes from the outside of the disc, okay? All right then, so you have the base of your skull, your brain would sit at the top, your spinal cord runs all the way down the centre, and then your nerves exit out of these holes at the side, and they go to supply every cell, every tissue, every single organ in your body. Nothing happens in your body without messages going from your brain, down your spinal cord, out to whatever they supply. But also, interestingly, there's a feedback mechanism. So what actually happens is messages come back from those cells, tissues and organs into the spinal cord, up to the brain, to say what's actually happening. So you've got this constant feedback loop going on all of the time, okay? So that's a little bit of anatomy about the spine. Now, my job as a chiropractor is to make sure that all of this is functioning how it's supposed to. So why do you think that is? So the purpose is to make sure that the nerve supply to all those cells, tissues, organs, whatever they're going to supply, are working exactly how they're supposed to be working, okay? Now, the most common cause of nerve interference is actually when these joints aren't moving how they're supposed to. Let's talk about trapped nerves then. So, first of all, you need to understand that the nervous system is phenomenal. It is like an amazing computer system. There are 11 billion cells, nerve cells in your brain, and then many, many more going off to the rest of your body. So your brain is almost like the CPU unit. So it's like having a computer unit, and then the rest of the nerves, it's like having the internet. So messages are going back and forth constantly. The speed at which the messages are sent for, let's say, pain nerves transmit at 0.61 meters per second. Whereas for, let's say, muscle nerves, they can transmit at 119 meters per second. So phenomenally fast. The messages are like firing off so quickly. I mean, it really is truly outstanding what the body can actually do and what the nervous system does. Okay, so when we're talking about nerve flow and nerve transmission, it doesn't take much to interrupt and interfere with it. So if you remember the really old halfpence piece, so the really small one, the pressure of that on a nerve can decrease nerve flow by 60%. And you only actually need a mild amount of pressure on a nerve for you to have permanent damage. So it could be mild, but it could go on for a prolonged period of time, and that can result in permanent damage. So our nervous system is phenomenally delicate, and we need to look after it, and we need to understand how we take care of it properly. Every single cell, every single tissue, every single organ in your body has a nerve supply running to it. So, and then also returning back, so that there's this phenomenal feedback loop running all of the time, okay? But only around about 12 to 15% of your nervous system experiences pain. So pain is actually a very, very poor gauge of how healthy you are and what your health is like at any point in time. If you've got a trapped nerve, you can end up with a range of neurological symptoms. Now, the most common reason that people come to see us originally will be for the pain that they're experiencing. But when we run through our questions, what we want to do is understand what the level of nerve interference is, and how badly trapped the nerve is, and how badly damaged the nerve is. Because what we want to do is ensure that any nerve damage that has occurred does not end up being permanent in any way. So you could obviously present with pain as one of your symptoms, but you could also present with numbness, pins and needles, weakness, wasting. You could end up with problems with coordination. You could also end up with, say, loss of function. So it can affect, say, your bladder or your bowel. And in some cases, some people feel like, say, their hand or their foot feels like it's fallen asleep. All of these are neurological symptoms of a trapped nerve, and something that lets us know how much damage has occurred. So there are a number of structures that can apply pressure to the nerves and so create a situation where you've got a trapped nerve. That could be anything from muscles, such as, say, the piriformis muscle, which is a big muscle in your buttock region, and that can apply pressure to the sciatic nerve. It could be from tendons. You could have a disc protrusion or a disc herniation, which could be causing pressure onto the nerve within the spine itself. There are osteophytes when you get arthritis. So the osteophytes are like little bony spurs that stick out, but if they stick out enough, they can apply pressure to the nerves as well. You could have direct trauma to the nerve, causing the symptoms of your trapped nerve. But by far, the most common cause of nerve interference and trapped nerves are what we call a vertebral subluxation. So this is where the spine isn't moving how it's supposed to, and then what that does, that irritates, interferes, applies pressure to the nerve, causing nerve interference and causing the symptoms that you experience with a trapped nerve. So what are my top 3 ways to repair the nerves? Let's go for number 1 then. So number 1, what we want to do is reduce inflammation. And one of the ways that you can reduce inflammation is by making sure that you ice the area. So we use an ice pack in order to bring the inflammation down in a way that is controlled. Now, when we talk about ice packs, unfortunately, some people make a big mistake in the fact that what they do is they freeze the area. You do not freeze the area. All that does is slow down your healing rates. We do not want to freeze the area. What we want to do is cool and soothe the area, but repeatedly. So in all honesty, the first 4 times that you do it, you will not notice a difference. You will not notice the reduction in your symptoms. It's once you hit times 4, 5 and 6 that you start to say, okay, we're starting to feel it ease, okay? So that's the first thing. What you want to do is ice the area in order to reduce the inflammation. Within this email, I've gone and included a PDF which describes that in more detail. Okay. Then the next thing that we need you to do, and one of the top ways to help heal a trapped nerve, is for you to make sure that you've got the good building blocks in order for it to heal and repair, which basically means fat, which I know at this moment in time people are a little bit wary of fat, but actually it's the right types of fats. So omega-3 fatty acids, which come from fish oil, contain all of the building blocks that your nerves need in order to heal and repair. Now, in particular, part of it that gets damaged is what's called the myelin sheath, which is on the outside of the nerve. So your nerve is a little bit like a piece of cable that's an electrical cable. So it will have the copper running through the centre, but then it will also have the protective sheath on the outside, which is for insulation. Exactly the same happens with your nerves. Your nerves have the conduction element of the nerve, and then they have a sheath around them which is called the myelin sheath. And that myelin sheath is made up of fat. So if it gets damaged in any way, then obviously we've got to lay down more fat in that region for it to heal and repair. And that's why you need to take omega-3 fatty acids, and that's where that comes in. The final way to repair nerve damage is to take the pressure off the nerve. And the only real way to do that is to seek advice from a professional, from a chiropractor, an osteopath, somebody who has experience looking after the nervous system. Would you agree with me that everybody should have their spine and nervous system checked at least once in their lifetime? For me, it just makes perfect sense. So if you do want to get your spine and nervous system checked, then all you've got to do is pick up the phone, give us a call, or you can click on the button below.